So next, it's our showcase partner, Valid, and I'd like to invite Sam Brown to join us on the stage. And Sam, along with Jan Lattunen from SimpleX Wireless, will be talking about how eSIM is used in potential IoT applications.
Thanks everyone for coming to the summit and to hear us out. So my name is Sam Brown. I'm the OEM Business Development Manager at Valid. So my focus is totally on devices, IoT solution makers, and how we can enable those into the market. What we'd like to share with you and talk about today is how at Valid we're embracing the opportunity brought about by the GSMA's IoT eSIM specification, how that can start to shape our future working. And we'll look at how we're already starting to do that. So I'll invite Jan up in a few slides to give the kind of customer perspective and the device owner perspective of their customer, and how that starts to work, and how we can become more flexible towards our customers. So how the ecosystems change in its flexibility. So just before we go into that, if you don't know Valid, we're now a company with 65 years experience. We're the 5th largest SIM card producer in the world. And for that purpose, we have developed and own our own secure SIM software, which has been developed by our teams in Europe. And we manufacture the physical cards in our own facilities around the world. That technology has enabled over 900 million devices, or close to 1 billion now, to become connected. And we obviously, to back that up, have a full offering of subscription management platforms, which have seen over 100 implementations around the world. So that's Valid as a quick cusp here. So let's look at the current problem. This is really what we want to get into. And we saw, I think, Cameron mentioned complexity, Luke mentioned fragmentation, or vice versa. This is the real issue in the ecosystem, and what we're trying to kind of work more together, Valid, and this is what we're looking at. So the ecosystems become hugely fragmented over quite a short period, as IoT has kind of grown exponentially and continues to grow. So we've heard different figures about the amount of devices that are going to come into the market, but GSMA is estimating over 37 billion IoT connections by 2030, for example. So with those many connections and those many different offerings in the market, we get huge fragmentation, complexity, and we need to look at how we can bring that together. So as I'm sure everyone knows, the eSIM story started off with automotive use cases. Those have become more diverse as we've gone from automotive to consumer devices and now into IoT. Those increasing requirements add to that complexity. So we might have in the past had an IoT device, for example, that tracked an asset or that switched a light on and off. But now those assets are being tracked. Are they at the right temperature? Have they been bashed? And the street light is switched on and off. We're monitoring the energy. We're looking at the maintenance. When does it need fixing? So there's lots of added requirements, especially coming about with 5G IoT. And on top of that, the stakeholders of those devices, so the device owners and the solution owners, they want to gain the control of that connectivity. So that's something that we want to focus on. And at Valid, we believe that working in a more flexible way with the ecosystem is the right approach for that. So we'll take a look at that in the next few slides. So the GSMA's IoT eSIM specification has been designed for IoT devices specifically. So those kind of devices that don't have buttons, they might not have a screen, they're the kind of headless type device. that we see, and this is what the specification's really aiming at. We want to look at this at the moment and look at some of the newest components. So this is a kind of simple diagram of how that specification comes together. We want to look at, we've got the EIM, which is the IoT Remote Manager, and the IPA or IPAD, which sits in the device. And those together work with those subscription management platforms to control that connectivity. And that's where we start to see some of that control, the ownership of the connectivity be controlled or being able to be controlled by different parties more easily. So that's an important thing to know. So we've worked together with SimpleX Wireless on a proof of concept, and we wanted to look, and this slide shows you some of the components of that architecture and how they can come together. So in this slide, you can imagine, okay, a device customer might come to Valid and say, okay, we're connecting our device. That's a given, everyone is connected by design now. So how can you help us? And of course, at Valid, our core business is eSIM and the subscription management platforms that we mentioned. We've built on top of that the EIM capability, and we have IPA offerings both in Android and Linux. So all of that is possible from us. We don't offer connectivity directly, purposely, because our customers do. So we work closely with our customers to be able to enable those devices to become connected. But it's not actually always what device owners and solution creators want, a one-stop shop. It doesn't work like that, and that's what we're talking about with the fragmentation of the ecosystem. So we want to look at a different approach where we can split things up, and this is what we've done with SimpleX Wireless to kind of prove this out. So in our proof of concept with them, actually Valid is again owning the eSIM in the device, and the subscription management platform, the DP Plus is used, is Valid's platform in the background. And the connectivity for this proof of concept actually comes from a Valid customer, a Mexican operator, Altan. But the EIM and the IPA are being created solely by SimpleX Wireless. So we really wanted to show, how those things can come together. And then the device actually comes from SimpleX Wireless customer, Global Scale Technologies. So you really start to piece in together the different parts of the ecosystem, the architecture, and that's what we really see happening in the real world. That's what we believe our customers want, making devices and solutions. They don't want a one-stop shop. They want to be able to take different pieces from different partners, some that they may already have in place, and go from there. So that's what we're really keen to do, is to increase that flexibility. Valid is paramount, to be flexible towards the market in that approach. And obviously we've shown one example which has been proved by the proof of concept that we've actually done with SimpleX Wireless, but there's obviously many iterations of this and many different ways that it can happen. So again, the flexible options, the proof of concept demonstrates this ecosystem becomes much more flexible and can empower the solution owner to give them options in the market. Like I say, we've shown one example, and this is available to be seen by SimpleX Wireless. Actually, they have the demo, they have the physical device they can show you, and they're available at the show to do that. But so at Valid, the flexibility of that approach is key, and we're happy to work with your existing partners. I mean, I think it's been shown and discussed a few times already this morning that complexity and fragmentation, it really needs to be brought together, and Valid as a technology enabler are there to do that, and we're happy to work with different partners for that. So I'll hand over to Jan. I'll invite Jan up, and he can explain some about SimpleX Wireless and the solution that we've created, and also the customer perspective on that, the OEM or ODM of the device. Thanks, Jan.
Hey, thank you, Sam.
No worries.
Good to be here.
Good clicker.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Really excited to be here, and share the stage here with Valid and with Sam. In case you don't know me, my name is Jan Lattunen. As you can tell from my accent, I'm from Atlanta, and I'm one of the co-founders for SimpleX Wireless. And what we do, just a slide about SimpleX Wireless before we talk a little bit more about the technology, is that we are an independent connectivity service provider. We are based out of Atlanta, as I mentioned, as the company as well. And we're looking to simplify for makers of things to get into the world of cellular IoT connectivity. And we're doing that by having technology, try to simplify the technology as much as possible, and also the kind of the commercial aspects of things, looking at how do we do the contracts and models. We're very focused as a company. We provide cellular connectivity. We are eSIM service management provider. I'll talk a little bit about what that is and what that means. And also we have a bring your own operator feature, which allows you to aggregate and manage multiple different IoT connectivities. So yesterday I sat down also on Yolanda's the eSIM for our eSIM session as well, and it has been mentioned a little bit on the new eSIM specification has come up on it, but in order to kind of something that is getting asked from us many times is that what is new about the new specification, what is good, and Transformer had as well good slides on that, is that talking about the history, is that initially we had the M2M spec, the SGP02, that came in, and it's a really good specification, successful from the perspective that it has penetrated the automotive segment well. It is the first specification that allowed remotely changing the operator profile into the device. And however, the challenges for that was that, is that it's very difficult to actually do the switching from the perspective that you have to do changes from one SMSR to one SMSR in the back end. So you have to do data migration between servers in order to actually switch the ownership of a EUICC. In order to kind of respond to that, is that mainly driven by the OEMs, is that you had the .22, the consumer spec that came in 17, which made it very easy for you to switch between the specifications. However, like the specification, the switching between the eSIM profiles on the device was happened by the consumer. So there has to be a person that touches and operates the actual device in itself to make the switch happen. Well, the industry, of course, in telecommunication, we did a lot of different proprietary solution to enable remote SIM provisioning into the 02 spec, the 22 spec, and which makes it, still keeps it very fragmented as well as a technology. So now, why the 22 spec is great that came just out is that now we have combined the easy way and methodology of switching the eSIM. So it's very simple to getting download or change the eSIM on the device. And in addition on that, we have standardized the commands to switch this SIM card. So the IPA and the EIM have been now standardized. Well, not standardized, that's just specified by the GSMA. So basically, what the GSMA? So, and this is something that we believe is going to be the future. I think Transformer as well, you had on your slide earlier that you said that this is a big kind of adoption. This is going to be the dominating standard, because now for device maker, an OEM or ODM, it's very clear for them to choose what spec to go to. So there's no longer ambiguity on which spec should I go to. This is the spec, that's what we believe. There's one thing that kind of comes on the new spec that needs to be taken into account as well, is that there's going to be the EIM now to be the address of the EIM, the server that controls the switching and so on, needs to be pre-configured or pre-populated on the device. And we see that this kind of creates a new role in the industry, which we call eSIM service management provider role on that as well. So as Sam mentioned earlier, it's like we really enjoyed building the POC with Valid because of their flexibility and ability to kind of pick and choose the components and their know-how on that data. Just to clarify, when we talk about the technology, is that this is how we call the different components. So EUICC we call the hardware module, eSIM is the network profile as we call it, and the DP Plus is of course the server. The new components that have been introduced now with the new specs is the IPA and the EIM. So the EIM is the business logic server, that is a business logic server that manages the switching, and the IPA is the on device or on EUICC client that talks to the server to request whether a switch needs to be happen. I think it's been mentioned a couple of times about the kind of like pooling technology today, even that I think pooling technology that this is, and we'll have different implementation on how you actually address like how the communication happens with the EM and IPA. Lastly on my slides is that this is a case study because one of the topics, guiding topics today on the 5G of IoT was basically agriculture, and we have one of our partners is IntelliTerra, who is in the room here with us today. Is that they have looked at they have created a software platform to enable massive deployment of massive remote area design and deployment maintenance. Basically, what they're looking at and what they're focusing on is that you have remote areas in the farms. You have 200,000 farms in the United States alone with over one acre of land space. There's basically, as you can imagine, is that it's very sporadic, the coverage on that thing, and it's also like not affordable to have a good design to receive the density to manage this device. So what IntelliTerra has done is that they're working towards enabling affordable deployments of network design, and they've done this by automating and using drones with autonomous flight to map out the areas, and from there basically using AI and their software platform to do a design and a network design of this landscape, and then provide towers, and you can pick and choose what kind of a network density you want to have in this area. Do you want to have what kind of throughput, and how many towers should you design on that? And it's a very good example of a future 5G networks that are going to be out there. What eSIM enables them is really have this as they deploy globally these solutions, and just within the United States in different areas as well. It allows them to have the flexibility, and also further having a flexibility with the ESMP is that having flexibility to have the single SKU on their connectivity out there as they're deploying the solutions around the world. So that's my last slide. So as Sam mentioned, we're here and we have a demo we can showcase. We're happy to do that. So as well, if you want to talk to IntelliTerra, they're here as well. But with that, I'll give the mic back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Jan.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so just to wrap up, as Jan said, we are here to talk, and this is the start. I mean, this new specification is really starting now. So let's get together. Let's talk about it. We're here with our colleagues from our companies. Come and find us and talk to us and look at the demo. It is interesting to see that, and obviously great to see how a customer's perspective is on this technology. So thanks, Jan, and thanks for listening.